Tonight on Cronkite News, the Arizona Supreme Court upholds a law dating back to the Civil War, which puts a near-total ban on abortion across the state.
Plus, why certain alternative meat products could have different labels when you're going to the grocery store.
And a farewell to March Madness. We'll tell you what it takes to win it all and when the next Final Four is coming to the Valley. Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News. I'm Athena Kehoe.
And I'm Asher Heyer. Thank you for joining us. Today, the Arizona Supreme Court ruled that Arizona's near-total abortion ban is enforceable and will go into effect in 14 days.
The decision is causing reaction across the spectrum. The new standard actually comes from a law created in 1864, before Arizona was even a state. The law does allow abortions if it's necessary to save the life of the mother. However, there are no exceptions for rape or incest. The law would impose a minimum of 2 years prison time for abortion providers. We're joined by Cronkite News reporters Roxanne De La Rosa and Sydney Whitty, who spoke to voices from both sides from the abortion argument.
Roxanne De La Rosa is with us now in the newsroom. Roxanne, how are people who support abortion rights reacting to the court's decision?
Some people, including the governor, were visibly emotional, and their plan is to fight back. Arizona officials and pro-abortion advocates were shocked on the decision to nearly ban all abortions across the state.
I'm devastated by this decision, and I know that many Arizonans are as well, and trying to figure out what this means for not just the healthcare they need, but in the future. We know that IVF is under attack. We know that contraception is under attack.
The only exception to the new law is when the life of the mother is in danger. The law leaves no exceptions for rape or incest. A state senator who previously had an abortion also expressed disappointment with the ruling.
Abortion bans are hurtful to our families, to our communities, and to individuals all across the state and all across the country. Does that mean that we can't have a more complex conversation about what abortion care looks like at different stages during pregnancy? No, we can have a more complex discussion about that.
Attorney General Chris Mays, a Democrat like Hobbs, promised that no doctor or woman will be prosecuted under the new law. Dr. Atsuko Koyama spoke about what the decision means for her.
And it criminalizes me from providing essential health care.
And she shares one of her patients' stories.
Wanted to be alive to see her daughter graduate from high school and to walk her down the aisle for her wedding. She risked leaving this child as an orphan if she continued the pregnancy because her first pregnancy left her with severe postpartum cardiomyopathy, which made any future pregnancies dangerous for her.
Arizona voters may have their say in November when the Arizona Abortion Access Act is expected to be on the ballot. The ban goes into effect 14 days from the ruling, but the future of Arizona's abortion laws is not necessarily settled. In the newsroom, Roxanne De La Rosa, Cronkite News.
The Supreme Court also overturned a December 2022 appeals court decision that previously stated doctors couldn't be prosecuted under the pre-statehood abortion ban.
On the other hand, many people applauded today's ruling.
Yes, they did. They say it will save lives, and as Sydney Whitty found out, they believe this change will help women and children overall. Sydney Whitty joins us from outside Arizona's Supreme Court.
That's right. Many supporters of today's ruling believe that the previous lower court ruling was a misinterpretation of laws and did not protect unborn children. The core of the 1864 law that was reinstated today outlines a sentence of 2 to 5 years in prison for doctors or anyone else who assists in an abortion. Supporters of today's ruling were happy to see the change back to earlier restrictions.
We are incredibly grateful for the Arizona Supreme Court's ruling today. A tremendous victory for unborn children and their mothers. The lower court's ruling misinterpreted state law to allow abortion in circumstances where the Arizona legislature did not allow it.
Some supporters feel the change is what Arizonans want. Supporters of today's rulings contend that the 1864 law was in effect until the Roe v. Wade Supreme Court decision in 1973, which made abortion legal in the United States.
Well, this is not so far in the past. Please note that the law was in effect on January 22nd, 1973, when Roe v. Wade was issued. The only reason why it was not enforceable was because of Roe. With Roe overturned, it made this law enforceable again. The legislature never repealed it.
Supporters like Harold said they will continue to fight and argue against any challenges to today's ruling. At the Arizona Supreme Court, Sydney Whitty, Cronkite News.
So what's next for Arizona abortion providers and women who may need reproductive care? Planned Parenthood says they will continue providing abortion services for at least 45 days. They also have a patient navigator service that helps women seeking abortions find resources in other states. There's a ballot measure in the works that would guarantee abortion rights in the Arizona Constitution. Supporters announced there are enough signatures to put that measure before voters in November.
Today's ruling means Arizona joins nearly 24 states which have banned or restricted access to abortion. Taking a look at a map of the U.S., the dark orange states represent where abortion is banned, the light green states are where abortion remains legal, and the beige states, abortion is legal in some capacity. Arizona remains beige because today's Arizona Supreme Court ruling has been put on hold for 2 weeks.
And now to another piece of legislation that could impact the meat industry here in Arizona. Cronkite News reporter Maria Staubs explored a bill which would restrict how certain alternative meat products are labeled.
We have our T-bones, we have our porterhouses, we have our ribeyes.
These are some products Lisa Kahn sells out of her family-run cattle business, Moon River Beef.
It's all natural, no hormones, no antibiotics, no herbicides, no pesticides, and no industrial pollutants.
The grass-fed beef market continues to grow. At the same time, consumers are shopping for alternatives. Since 2019, sales for plant-based meat have grown 43%, according to a study from the Good Food Institute.
The push for plant-based meat and cultured meat is going to shift sales away from ranchers and limit their livelihood. We want to maintain their livelihood because it's being pushed in so many different directions that they're selling.
With more consumers turning toward meat substitutes, House Bill 2244 aims to eliminate any confusion. It would make it illegal to intentionally misrepresent products like plant-based or cell-cultured meat.
If you're going to say meat on a label, the first thing that comes to mind is, okay, it's from an animal. Well, this cell-cultured beef is not from an animal.
The bill prohibits labels with words that are the same as or deceptively similar to a term that has been used or defined historically in reference to a specific meat food product. Those against the bill say that language is too vague.
If I'm selling a veggie burger, can I not call it a juicy veggie burger? Can I not call it a meaty veggie burger, right? It's unclear to me. And I think it's unclear to a reasonable industry participant or consumer.
Opponents also say there are federal guidelines that already exist when it comes to labeling meat products. In Phoenix, Maria Staubs, Cronkite News.
The bill has passed the House and will head to the Senate floor tomorrow, April 10th. And the next big election in Arizona will be the primary and, of course, the general election in November.
Yep, and you may notice a change when you cast your ballot because there will be several new I voted stickers this time around. The Maricopa County Recorder held a contest this year to reimagine the stickers, and after dozens of submissions in the youth and adult categories, these are the winners. Thousands of votes were cast, and in addition to the honor of having their designs on this year's stickers, the two winning artists for this youth competition will also get a pizza party for their school classes. Coming up next, how often are you breaking a sweat from your exercise?
Well, if you're thinking not too often, you aren't the only one. We'll see how much exercise Arizonans are getting and what you can do.
Just how warm the valley may get this weekend and what weather you can expect next week.
What Cronkite News means to me is opportunity.
We do news right at Cronkite News, serving a community ethically, honestly, and truthfully.
And we can provide a necessarily different angle, different voice for those people that really need it.
The students, they have a lot of passion for journalism.
I get to do a lot of stories about the Hispanic community.
And we have access to cover all of these sorts of events and get media coverage of all these different personalities and athletes, and that's just a huge thing.
But it's also a chance for people here to be humanized. Individuals of all walks of life.
Cronkite News will help take the next generation of journalists onto their next careers.
I am old enough to remember Walter Cronkite.
We're putting a lot of pride on his name because we are practicing a lot of the things that he did.
I think he'd be smiling from ear to ear.
I.
We are Cronkite.
The Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communications Phoenix Sports Bureau provides students with hands-on learning experiences and opportunities in sports journalism. From covering local high schools, colleges, and the pros, students get the opportunity to go live from our Facebook shows covering local, collegiate, and pro sports in the Valley. From digital reporting, broadcast, social media, and producing, there's opportunities for all. For more, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
Welcome back. The world has broken another heat record for the 10th month in a row.
Yep, in fact, last month was the hottest March ever recorded. And that's according to the European Union's Climate Monitoring Service. It found that the biggest rises in temperature were in North America, Central America, some parts of South America, and parts of Europe. The heat is being blamed on long-term global warming.
But back here in the Valley, temperature is going to spike. We'll have a taste of 90-degree weather for the first time this year.
Adriana Gonzalez-Chavez joins us now at the Weather Center to fill us in on what we can expect.
Good evening, everyone. We're sitting about 77 degrees right now, dipping down to 73 degrees by 10 p.m. tonight with a chance of clouds. Looking at our low temperatures across the state, we won't be cooling down too much here in the Valley. Phoenix cooling down to 61 degrees. Chilly temperatures up north. Grand Canyon hitting a low of 29. Flagstaff a low of 32 for tomorrow. And then looking at our high temperatures across the state, almost 90 degrees here for Phoenix for tomorrow, but not quite there yet. High of 88 for Phoenix, high of 88 for Phoenix, high of 85 for Casa Grande, and really nice weather for Sedona, hitting a high of 75. Looking at our futurecast, as you can see, really no cloud coverage or any chances of rain coming all the way through Friday across the state, meaning we will have some really nice clear skies. Looking into the 8-day forecast, above average temperatures for Thursday and Friday. Thursday hitting a high of 95, Friday a high of 94, and then looking into the rest of the 8-day forecast, we will be cooling down a little bit on Monday with a high of 78, but warming right back up Tuesday and Wednesday. Wednesday hitting a high of 89 and a low of 61, with the average for this time of year being around 84 degrees. I'm Adriana Gonzalez-Chavez from the Cronkite Weather Center. Back to you.
Well, now is a great time to get outside and get some exercise in.
Yes, it is, Athena, especially considering that new data shows that Arizonans aren't getting enough exercise. In fact, less than half of the state population is getting the average amount of exercise.
So why aren't we working up more of a sweat? I found out there are a lot of reasons, but particularly the heat, and that shouldn't keep you from getting your heart rate up.
I didn't know how much weight I needed to lose before I would love my body.
Rick Coffey has tried the different diets and workout plans to stay healthy, but admits it's hard to stick to something that doesn't motivate you.
To me, working out is about showing up and celebrating what my body can do, having fun while I do it. And I find a lot of people that bounce from workout to workout to workout, they just aren't finding the proper motivation to show up for themselves.
So he started dancing as a form of exercise.
There is an immediate reward to dancing. That's joy.
But not enough Arizonans are following his example. According to a report from Brigham and Women's Hospital and Apple, only 48.3% of Arizona adults get the average of 150 minutes of aerobic activity a week. Todd Ellenbecker, a physical therapist at Banner Health, says Arizonans can exercise almost year-round, and there are ways to work around the heat.
There are plenty of ways either to modify your activity, go early in the day, listen to public health authorities and all that kind of stuff, avoid the heat of the day, and then also seek out thermally neutral environments.
That means indoor activities like dance studios are great options. Ellenbecker also says our bodies do get used to the heat eventually.
And there's certain physiologic adaptations that occur in the body that allow us to adapt to the heat.
Ellen Becker says if you do want to exercise outside, give yourself at least 7 to 14 days to adapt to altitude, humidity, and higher low temperatures.
I'm Paul Schultz with a preview of your Cronkite Sports Report. The NBA regular season is slowly coming to an end, what the playoff picture would look like if the season were to end today, and where the Phoenix Suns stand.
What Cronkite News means to me is opportunity.
We do news right at Cronkite News, serving a community ethically, honestly, and truthfully.
And we can provide a necessarily different angle, different voice for those people that really need it.
The students, they have a lot of passion for journalism.
I get to do a lot of stories about the Hispanic community.
And we have access to cover all of these sorts of events and get media coverage of all these different personalities and athletes, and that's just a huge thing.
But it's also a chance for people here to be humanized, individuals of all walks of life.
Cronkite News will help take the next generation of journalists onto their next careers.
I am old enough to remember Walter Cronkite.
We're putting a lot of pride on his name because we are practicing a lot of the things that he did.
I think he'd be smiling from ear to ear.
I.
We are Cronkite.
The Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication's Phoenix Sports Bureau provides students with hands-on learning experiences and opportunities in sports journalism. From covering local high schools, colleges, and the pros, students get the opportunity to go live from our Facebook shows covering local, collegiate, and pro sports in the Valley. From digital reporting, broadcast, social media, and producing, there's opportunities for all. For more, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
Hello and welcome to the Cronkite Sports Report. I'm Paul Schultz. It was a basketball-filled weekend here in the Valley from Glendale to downtown Phoenix. Final Four events were happening on every corner. Rishioza joins us from the newsroom for the farewell to the Final Four.
With UConn winning the men's basketball national championship, the Final Four has officially left the Valley. The Phoenix Local Organizing Committee held a press conference to say farewell to the Final Four. The CEO of the Phoenix Local Organizing Committee, Jay Perry, and NCAA Vice President of Men's Basketball, Joanne Scott, discussed the highlights of the weekend, as well as handing over the keys of the Final Four to San Antonio, where the event will take place in 2025.
On all accounts, the men's Final Four was a huge win. We had a powerhouse team that came together to make it a big win for all of Arizonans. And once again, we've shown that when it comes to major events, no one does it like Arizona.
And this city is just so phenomenal when it comes, whether it's convention center, the stadium. I want to give a shout out to public safety. You all know how to hold large events here, and you guys do it very, very well. So I just want to say thank you to everyone here in the Valley.
Arizona won't have to wait too long for a Final Four to come back to the Valley, as the women's Final Four will take place here in Phoenix in 2026. In the newsroom, Rishioza, Cronkite News.
After much anticipation and a thrilling weekend of hoops, this year's men's Final Four came to a close and a champion was crowned last night at State Farm Stadium. Our Jonah Krell was at the game and shares how UConn took home the trophy for the second year in a row.
In a season where UConn head coach Dan Hurley has pushed all the right buttons, he had one more masterpiece in store for Monday night's national championship game against Purdue. The game plan was simple: let Zach Edey get his points and take away everything else. It was resilience and dominance at an all-time level.
Just go out there and win. One thing about us is we never underestimated a single team. We always showed every team respect. And that's why I feel like, we never slipped away in any of these games. Starting with Stetson, we gave them the most respect that you possibly could give them, and that's why if you give your team respect, it keeps you on edge to just go out there and play harder.
I feel like we work the hardest than anybody else in the country. So, we just want to see if a team can keep up with us for 40 minutes and, eventually they'll break. And they did today.
UConn's 15-point win over the Boilermakers bookended the largest point differential by a single team in NCAA tournament history. It now marks a 2-year stretch that possibly stands alone, according to Hurley.
It's got to be as impressive a 2-year run as the program's had.
since prior to whoever did it before Duke. To me, it is more impressive than what Florida and Duke did, because they brought back their entire teams, and we lost we lost some major players.
This Husky team was full of connected killers in which someone new could step up in any game, and when it comes down to closing the deal, they stomp on their opponents' throats with tenacity. It was like that all season, and it played out like that once again Monday. Dominance till the very end. At State Farm Stadium, Jonah Krell, Cronkite News.
As for Purdue, what started off as a close and competitive game quickly fell out of reach. After the game, the locker room was quiet and somber, but there were still plenty of takeaways from the team's first national championship appearance in over 40 years.
It's not easy. It's not easy to be a good team. It is easy to be a bad team and to not go out and win games. People don't realize the work we put in and how much time, mentally, physically, emotionally, it goes into it. It's difficult. It's going to be the hardest thing you've ever done in your life. It's also going to be the most rewarding.
The Final Four helped put Phoenix in the center of the sports universe, and that position downtown for an incredible week as Wilder Adams captured some of the energy.
The Final Four shined a spotlight on the Valley, and downtown Phoenix was at the heart of it as locals and tourists enjoyed Final Four events, concerts, and home games for Suns and Diamondbacks all at once.
The atmosphere is just insane. A lot of energy coming to Phoenix, and just love it. I love all this pressure on Phoenix to be better, and everyone's having fun. It's good.
But with so many people brings heavy traffic. This made parking downtown a quest for the ages.
No parking. That's when it gets worse because everyone's looking for parking, and it's unfortunate when I have to tell people and turn them away that I can't park them anymore when my garage is pretty much full. Because we get a lot of outsiders, from other states coming to visit for especially the Final Four.
Many downtown Phoenix restaurants are built to occupy big crowds from influxes of fans attending professional sports games and other events. Add that to the thousands of tourists for the Final Four. It made for an exciting setting at restaurants.
We have the train, so that brings us a whole lot of people from all over. So they're either coming or going from the airport, regardless of the events. So now that you got the events, you just make friends. You just, the network is, you can just sit here and people watch all day long. It's great.
The heart of downtown Phoenix has been right here at FanFest in the Phoenix Convention Center, where fans and tourists have come together just to enjoy this incredible week.
It's crazy. I mean, you got 4 different fan bases that are just so excited to have this opportunity. It was just really impressive to see how much Purdue fans come out for it, and they were just coming from all over.
Phoenix is becoming a perennial sports hub. In Phoenix, Wilder Adams, Cronkite News.
Speaking of downtown, the Suns are back in action tonight at the Footprint Center against the Clippers. Their goal is to keep the 6th seed and avoid the play-in tournament. Right now, the Suns currently have a record of 46-32. If the season were to end today, they would travel to Oklahoma City to face the Thunder. Today, the Suns signed 2-time All-Star Isaiah Thomas through the end of the season, following 2 10-day contracts. With 4 games left in the regular season, they'll do what they can to avoid the play-in tournament. The Arizona Coyotes still don't have a permanent home, but the Pack seems to be circling in on a piece of land north of the 101 by Scottsdale Road. The Yotes revealed their plans for the land trust, wanting to turn it into a state-in-the-art entertainment district featuring a 17,000-seat arena, luxury residential units, office spaces, farmers markets, and even a dog park. Scottsdale Mayor David Ortega opposes the plan, bringing up the failed attempt in Tempe and saying the area would have negative repercussions on Scottsdale. In a statement, the mayor said, quote, "The fantasy hockey project must move west, away from Scottsdale." It's important to know that the land is in Phoenix, not Scottsdale, and that land goes up for auction this summer. That's it for your Cronkite Sports Report. Back to Athena and Asher.
Coming up next, there is some luck in the air in Oregon.
Yep, that's where the Powerball jackpot winner bought their lottery ticket. But they're not the only one getting a piece of the prize. We'll find out who else is cashing in.
What Cronkite News means to me is opportunity.
We do news right at Cronkite News, serving a community ethically, honestly, and truthfully.
And we can provide a necessarily different angle, different voice for those people that really need it.
The students, they have a lot of passion for journalism.
I get to do a lot of stories about the Hispanic community.
And we have access to cover all of these sorts of events and get media coverage of all these different personalities and athletes, and that's just a huge thing.
But it's also a chance for people here to be humanized. Individuals of all walks of life.
Cronkite News will help take the next generation of journalists onto their next careers.
I am old enough to remember Walter Cronkite.
We're putting a lot of pride on his name because we are practicing a lot of the things that he did.
I think he'd be smiling from ear to ear.
I.
We are Cronkite.
At Cronkite News, learn to work behind the camera for studio production. Our students spend time learning the ins and outs of all that it takes to run a newscast. From setting up the studio to building exciting graphics, studio production provides a job for everyone. Whether it be running audio, technical directing, or directing the newscast, students can experience the action behind the scenes. Join our team today.
Athena, one lucky gambler is now a billionaire.
That's right. The winner of Saturday's $1.3 billion Powerball jackpot has come forward to claim the prize. Oregon lottery officials said the winning ticket was sold at this convenience store in Portland. But the winner isn't the only one getting a payout. The store will also receive a $100,000 bonus for selling the winning ticket.
That's it for Cronkite News. Thanks for joining us.
And to see top Arizona stories anytime, log on to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.